The void was silent, a dark sea scattered with drifting asteroids and the faint glow of distant suns. For the alien crew aboard the cruiser Velan, this system was supposed to be unremarkable. Their mission was simple: survey, scan, and move on. The galaxy was full of young species struggling to climb out of their own gravity wells. The crew expected nothing but silence and emptiness here, but silence ended the moment their scanners caught it. A pulse, a signature, a vibration that rippled through their instruments and made them sing like broken glass. Lights flashed across the bridge. Warning sirens that had never been heard before screamed in sharp alien tones. The captain, a tall figure with eyes that shimmered in the dim glow, leaned forward in his command seat. "Report," he ordered, his voice calm but heavy. The science officer's hands trembled over the controls. It is not possible, Captain. The energy reading is wrong." "Explain," the captain demanded. The officer swallowed hard. "The signal is artificial. It is not a star. It is not a planet. It is not natural at all. And the power, Captain, it is far above anything we have recorded." The bridge fell silent. For a moment, the crew stared at the shifting waves on their screens. The scanners kept trying to focus, but every time they locked on, the image blurred, numbers spiked and then collapsed into static. Another officer hissed softly. "Perhaps it is a ghost signal. Perhaps nothing is there." But the captain knew better. His eyes narrowed. Ghosts did not make scanners bleed with warnings. Ghosts did not push machines to the edge of breaking. Something was there. The Velan adjusted its course. The engines thrummed as the cruiser drifted through the asteroid belt. Chunks of rock spun by, some no larger than a hand, others as large as cities. Shadows danced across the bridge as glowing debris floated past, and still the signal grew stronger. "Captain," the navigator said quietly, "if this continues, our scanners may fail completely. The energy is invasive. It reaches into our systems like claws." The captain allowed himself a rare frown. "No scanner should fear an object," he said. "And yet ours do." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Fear was a word they did not often speak. Then, through the storm of interference, the scanners managed a glimpse. A shape appeared on the screen, just for a second. Long, sharp, metallic. A form that carried weight, purpose, and silence. The crew gasped as the image flickered away, leaving only static behind. "Replay!" The captain ordered. The science officer shook his head. "The file is corrupted. The image will not hold. It is as if the object itself refuses to be measured, refuses to be measured." The words echoed across the bridge like a chill wind. In all their travels, in all the countless systems they had mapped, never had they encountered a machine that their technology could not define. The captain's voice was low, almost a whisper. "Then we will see it with our own eyes." The order was given. The ship descended deeper into the system, closer to the source of the impossible signal. The nebula around them shifted color, glowing in shades of purple and gold. Energy swirled like storms in the void, lightning arcs stretching between fragments of rock. And then the first officer noticed it. "Captain, the signal is not one, it is many. There are multiple sources. They are moving together." The captain's heart sank. Multiple sources meant multiple ships. A fleet that their scanners could not read. The crew grew restless. Some whispered theories, ancient machines, hidden guardians, lost civilizations. Others muttered that it must be an illusion, a trap made to frighten. But deep down, each of them felt the same truth pressing against their chest. Something powerful was waiting for them. Closer and closer, the Velan moved. The asteroids thinned and the nebula cleared, opening a vast field of stars. The silence returned, heavy and unnatural, like the breath before a storm. And then shadows appeared. At first, they looked like black cuts in space, jagged shapes that blotted out the stars behind them. But as the cruiser drew nearer, the shadows sharpened into forms. They were ships, massive steel-grey giants drifting silently through the void. Their hulls glowed with faint blue lines, like veins of light running through living metal. Their design was not elegant, not curved like the alien vessels. They were brutal, sharp-edged, built not for beauty but for strength, and they were watching. One of the colossal warships turned slowly, its surface glittering as energy rippled across its hull. Its lights flared, bright as the birth of a star, casting long shadows over the alien cruiser. The alien crew froze. Their scanners screamed in alarm, throwing impossible numbers across every screen. The readings made no sense. The density of the metal, the power of the engines, the sheer size of the weapon systems. The captain gripped the arms of his chair tightly. His voice came as a whisper, though every ear on the bridge heard it. This is no ghost. The alien crew had come expecting a quiet, empty system. What they had found instead was something beyond their imagination. Ships that their technology could not measure. Warships forged by a species they had never met. The crew felt the weight of the void pressing in on them, and for the first time in their long journey, their eyes were not filled with wonder. They were filled with fear, and as the human battleship loomed larger, one thought burned in every alien mind. What kind of species builds monsters like this? The silence stretched. The scanners screamed. The first meeting had begun. The alien cruiser Velan drifted forward, its hull trembling as the gravity waves of the system pressed against it. The silence on the bridge was heavy. Not even the hum of the engines felt normal anymore. Every officer kept their eyes fixed on the dark shapes ahead, shapes that blocked the stars like predators in the deep. The captain did not blink. His gaze was locked on the largest of the shadows. Slowly, the nebula's glow outlined its edges. What had been only a dark silhouette became clear, and the alien crew finally saw the truth. It was a ship, a colossal warship, unlike any they had ever encountered. Its hull was black steel, scarred and angular, as though carved by fire and pressure instead of crafted by design. Long rows of glowing red vents lined its surface, pulsing like the breath of a giant beast. Massive engines burned at the rear, each one strong enough to power a city, and yet they whispered in silence, giving no sound. The aliens leaned forward in awe and dread. This was not the fragile beauty of their own star cruisers. This was something else, something built for only one purpose: war. The science officer's hands hovered above his console, his voice low and strained. "Captain, the readings cannot stabilize. Every attempt to measure fails. The scanners report contradictions. This ship, it breaks our machines." The captain's eyes narrowed. "Then stop measuring. See it as it is." The crew obeyed. And with their own eyes they saw more than one. The nebula's mist cleared further, and behind the first battleship, more shadows came alive. Dozens, maybe more. A fleet of giants drifting in perfect silence, each one a dagger in the void. Their lights pulsed in rhythm, not chaotic but deliberate, as if speaking to each other in a language beyond the aliens' comprehension. The first officer exhaled sharply. "So many, Captain, this is not a lone ship. This is an armada," whispers spread across the bridge. An armada, hidden in a system the galaxy had long ignored. How could a young, unknown species build such power? One battleship stirred. It moved with a weight that bent the emptiness around it. The alien crew felt it, not only in their screens, but in their bones. The ship rotated slowly, its glowing windows and running lights igniting as it turned. For the first time, the war machine looked directly at them, and it was not a lifeless object. It felt alive. The captain rose from his chair, standing tall, though his chest tightened with unease. "It sees us." The words fell heavy. The crew's scales prickled, their hearts drummed, their hands shook over the consoles. A warship that looked back at them was no machine. It was a predator, acknowledging prey. Then the weapons officer whispered the thought none of them wanted to speak. "If they fire, we will not survive." The silence grew thicker. The battleship's lights flared, spilling white-blue glow across the asteroids. Its hull revealed markings, lines like scars, symbols of war, the history of battles fought across the stars. It was not new. It was tested. It was experienced. The alien science officer tapped at his console again, desperate to find one weakness. Their armor density is higher than we can calculate. Their weapon systems, unreadable. Captain, our databases do not contain anything close to this design.
Whoever they are
beyond us. The captain clenched his jaw. Enough. Weakness is not always in numbers. Even giants can bleed. But as he said it, doubt filled his voice. Another battleship glided forward, its engines igniting with a dull roar. The alien cruiser was surrounded now. Black steel walls of death on all sides, drifting with terrifying precision. Not a single move was wasted. Every shift, every rotation was calculated, as though the humans already knew every possible escape path. The bridge lights flickered. Alarms screamed as the cruiser's computers overheated under the strain of processing. Their scanners gave up entirely, shutting down in defeat. The alien ship was blind now. Only their eyes remained. The youngest officer trembled. "We are trapped." The captain turned his head, his voice sharp. "No, we are observed." The difference mattered. To be trapped was to be prey. To be observed meant something else, that the humans had chosen to reveal themselves. And that thought was far more dangerous. The crew could not look away. The battleships floated with impossible grace, enormous shadows with glowing hearts of fire. Their design was brutal but brilliant. Every panel, every surface screamed function. Not a single line was wasted. These ships were built by a people who had survived countless wars and learned to perfect killing, and yet the humans did not fire. Instead, one battleship drifted closer, slowly, deliberately. Its lights burned brighter, illuminating the Velan like a spotlight in a dark ocean. Every alien aboard felt the weight of that gaze pressing into them. Their skin grew cold, their lungs heavy. The feeling was clear. This was no accident. This was a test. The captain's hand tightened into a fist. His voice was a low growl. "They want us to know. They want us to understand what they are." The bridge crew stared into the void, hearts racing, and realized the truth. They had expected to find explorers. Instead, they had found war. The alien cruiser Velan hung frozen in space, surrounded by the giants. Human warships glided silently around them, each one a wall of steel and firepower. Their presence filled the void, yet not a single weapon fired. It was a silence heavier than any storm. The crew sat stiff in their seats, their bodies trembling under the weight of unseen pressure. Their scanners had failed. Their instruments were blind. Only their eyes could witness the colossus that hovered before them. Finally, the captain broke the silence. His voice was sharp, carrying authority even through his unease. "Open a channel. We must speak." The communication officer obeyed. Their systems reached out, broadcasting greetings in the universal code used across the stars. It was the standard ritual of contact, one that had brought peace to 100 worlds before. The words spilled into the void. "We come in peace. We seek understanding. We are explorers, not enemies." The message echoed. Seconds passed. Minutes stretched long. No reply came. The crew shifted nervously. Some glanced at each other, whispering. Others kept their eyes on the black screens, waiting for even a flicker of response. "Send again," the captain ordered. The message went out a second time. Still silence. The battleship ahead remained still, its glowing hull lights pulsing slowly, like a giant's heartbeat. The aliens could feel it watching them. "Try a different code," the captain commanded. "Use every channel, every frequency." The officer's hands moved quickly. Dozens of signals burst from the cruiser, flashing into the void like beacons. Some carried words, others simple tones, mathematical greetings, even raw pulses of light. Each one an invitation, and then something answered, not words. Not greetings, a single signal returned. It was short, sharp, encoded in a way no alien system could process. The machines strained, processors heating, sparks bursting from overloaded consoles as they tried to make sense of it. The science officer's eyes widened in horror. "Captain, the code is rewriting itself. Every time we translate, it changes. It resists. It breaks our systems," the communication officer shouted over the alarms. "We cannot understand them." For the first time in years, the captain felt cold. His crew had met countless civilizations, some strange, some hostile, but never before had their languages failed completely. The battleship ahead shifted again. Its engines flared softly. The shadows of its massive cannons turned slightly, pointing toward the Velan. The crew froze. Hearts pounded. Fingers hovered above defensive systems. The weapons officer whispered, "They are preparing to fire." "No," the captain said, though his own voice shook. "This is something else." The battleship's glow brightened, illuminating the alien cruiser as if caught in a spotlight. Then more signals came. Not words, pulses of raw energy, patterns of light and sound. But instead of explaining, they overwhelmed. The alien crew clutched their ears as the bridge filled with piercing tones. Their consoles exploded in sparks. Screens went dark, then flickered with strange symbols. Their computers screamed with warnings, unable to process the human code. "They are not speaking to us," the science officer realized, his voice trembling. "They're speaking to our machines," and the machines were breaking under the pressure. The Velan's lights dimmed. Systems flickered on and off. Engines strained. Their very ship was being tested, probed, studied, as if humanity was peeling back the layers of its technology, piece by piece. The youngest officer cried out, "They are tearing through us! Captain, what do we do?" The captain gritted his teeth, gripping the edge of his chair. He understood now. This was not an attempt at peace. This was not even a conversation. It was a test. The humans wanted to see if the aliens could withstand their presence. "Hold position," the captain ordered, his voice steady despite the fear in his chest. "Do not fire. Do not run. Let them see us as we are." The crew obeyed, though terror gripped them. They sat in silence, their ship shaking under the invisible weight of human attention, and then, just as suddenly as it began, the signals stopped. The bridge went quiet again, except for the heavy breathing of the crew. The consoles flickered back to life, scarred and burned, but still functional. The alien ship survived, barely. Across the void, the human battleship powered its weapons. Massive cannons glowed with white-blue light, their barrels humming with energy. The glow spread across its hull, as though the ship itself was preparing to ignite. The alien crew gasped. Some cried out in panic. The weapons officer's hands hovered over the controls. "Captain, they are charging! We must defend ourselves." The captain did not move. His eyes stayed locked on the giant before them. His instincts screamed to flee, but his mind whispered a harder truth. No, if they wished to kill us, we would already be gone. The glow grew brighter. The human battleship's weapons roared to life. Energy built like the birth of a star. The aliens braced themselves. Some prayed, others closed their eyes, and then light burst forward, not toward them, past them. A blinding beam of energy shot into the void, striking a massive asteroid nearby. The rock shattered instantly, exploding into dust and fire. The shockwave rocked the Velan, sending alarms blaring as the crew clutched their stations. It was a demonstration. The human battleship had shown its power without spilling alien blood. One shot had turned a mountain of stone into nothing. The bridge was silent. Hearts pounded in every chest. The captain whispered the truth that none dared speak. "They are not communicating. They are warning us." And in that moment, every alien aboard knew the meaning of silence. The humans had spoken without words, and the galaxy would never be the same. The asteroid field still glowed from the human strike. Dust and fragments drifted across the void, glowing red as they caught the light of nearby stars. The alien crew aboard the Velan sat frozen, their eyes wide, their hearts heavy. One shot, just one, and a mountain-sized rock had been turned into nothing. No one spoke at first. The silence was unbearable. Then the weapons officer broke it, his voice shaking. "Captain, their strike was stronger than our entire fleet's arsenal combined." The words rang true. Every officer knew it. The humans had not fired at them. They had not aimed their power at flesh or steel. They had chosen an asteroid instead. But the meaning was clear. This was a message: we could erase you. The captain leaned forward in his chair. His voice was calm but carried steel. "Hold your ground. Do not provoke them, but fear is a dangerous seed. It spreads quickly. One of the younger officers, his hands trembling over the control panel, whispered too loudly, "If they destroy us, no one will know what happened. We must defend ourselves before it is too late." The words infected the bridge. Murmurs spread, doubt thickened. The humans had shown impossible strength. To some, that meant only one thing: an attack was coming next. Then the moment snapped. A sudden alarm screamed across the ship. Another battleship was moving closer, weapons glowing faintly. The crew panicked. Some shouted for action. Others begged to flee, and then it happened. A defensive turret on the Veylan, small compared to the monstrous cannons of the humans, activated on its own after detecting the threat. A single energy bolt shot across the void, striking the shield of the nearest human warship. The bridge went still. Every alien froze in horror. The bolt had done nothing. It fizzled against the human shield like rain on stone. The mighty ship did not even flinch. No dent, no mark. The shield shimmered once, then returned to silence. The captain's chest tightened. His voice came sharp and furious. "Ceasefire!" At once. But the damage was done. The human warship stirred. Its lights burned brighter. Its cannons shifted slightly, locking onto the alien cruiser. Across the void, other battleships moved as well, forming a circle around the Veylan. The alien crew held their breath. Every heartbeat felt like thunder in their ears. Then the humans responded. A single blast of light erupted from one of their ships. It did not hit the Veylan. It passed just close enough that the alien cruiser shook violently. Alarms screaming, systems flickering. The beam ripped space itself beside them, leaving a trail of energy that made their instruments collapse in static. It was not an attack, it was a warning. The humans had returned fire, but only to show how easily they could destroy the Veylan if they wished. The weapons officer gripped his console, sweat dripping down his forehead. "Captain, they are toying with us," the science officer whispered, almost to himself. "Their power, it is beyond calculation. It is not technology. It is something else." The captain rose slowly from his chair, standing tall in the dim light of the bridge. His voice was low but steady, carrying through the fear. "No, it is technology, but it belongs to a people who have bled, who have fought, who have carved their place in the stars with fire. We have met not explorers, but survivors." The crew listened, trembling, as the captain's words cut through their fear. But deep down, every one of them knew the truth. Their empire had seen many young species rise and fall. Some had shown strength, others wisdom. But none had carried themselves like this, silent, cold, commanding. The humans did not need to shout their power. They let their warships speak. Another battleship glided forward. Its hull lights shimmered, forming strange patterns across its steel surface. To the aliens, it looked like war paint, marks of victories won in battles they could not imagine. The Veylan's computers struggled to stay alive. Screens flickered. Symbols appeared, alien to alien eyes, messages that could not be read. The humans were still probing them, peeling away their secrets without asking permission. The first officer clenched his fists. "Captain, we cannot stand here forever." "They are testing us. If they decide we are weak, we are finished." The captain's gaze never left the battleship before them. "Then we must show them something other than weakness." But what could they show? Their weapons had failed. Their scanners were blind. Their shields were paper compared to the storm of firepower surrounding them. The crew felt the crushing truth. There was no victory here. Then, as if to remind them, the human battleship shifted again. A row of cannons hummed to life. Energy glowed along its length, brighter, hotter, stronger. The alien crew screamed in fear, bracing for death, but the blast never came. Instead, the cannons powered down again, leaving only silence. The message was clear. We control when you live or die. The captain closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them with resolve. His voice was firm. They wanted to see us strike. We have struck. They wanted to see us survive. We still breathe. That is enough for now. The crew exhaled slowly, though fear still gripped their hearts. Around them, the human battleships drifted back into their positions, encircling the cruiser, but holding their fire. The clash was not a battle of weapons. It was a battle of wills, and the aliens had just learned who commanded the void. The Velan floated in the shadow of giants. The alien crew sat motionless, the echo of their own failure heavy in the air. They had fired, and their strike had done nothing. The humans had answered, not with destruction, but with control. They had shown power without cruelty, dominance without a single wasted word. The captain stood tall, though his chest felt like stone. He could sense every eye on him, waiting for his command, waiting for him to tell them what to do. But in truth, he knew there was nothing left to command. Their survival no longer belonged to them. It belonged to the humans. The bridge was silent except for the faint hum of damaged consoles. Systems flickered weakly, struggling to keep up. Their scanners, once the pride of their empire, now lay blind, their readings twisted into useless symbols. The human presence had broken them completely. Then it came, a signal, not like before, not the overwhelming bursts of energy that had shredded their machines. This was sharp, clean, and deliberate. It cut through the void with perfect precision. Like a blade slicing silk, the crew held their breath as the message appeared on their main screen. 2 words, simple, clear. "We see you." The bridge went deathly quiet. Even the hum of the engines seemed to vanish under the weight of those words. The science officer's voice cracked. "Captain." "It is in our language." The captain's throat tightened. The humans had not answered before. Not when hailed with peace, not when offered greetings, not when begged with every code in the galaxy. And yet now, after testing, after breaking, after demonstrating their firepower, they had chosen to speak. 2 words. The captain stepped closer to the screen, his face illuminated by the cold glow of the message. He whispered not to his crew but to himself. "They do not ask who we are. They do not tell us who they are. They only remind us. They are watching." The first officer shook his head in disbelief. "Why? Why say only this?" The captain turned slowly to face him. His eyes were sharp, filled with grim understanding. "Because they do not need to say more. Those 2 words carry everything. They know us now. They know our ship. They know our empire. And we cannot know them. Not yet." The crew shifted uneasily. Fear pulsed in their veins. Another signal flashed across their screens. It was not a word this time. It was an image, a map of the galaxy, stars scattered like sparks. And across it small red lines appeared, lines that stretched outward, system by system, like veins spreading through flesh. The crew gasped. The humans had revealed their reach. They were not a hidden species on one world. Their warships had already moved far beyond their home. The red lines spread wide, covering systems the aliens had thought empty, claiming space the Empire had ignored. The first officer whispered, "They are not just explorers. They are already spreading." The map faded. The words returned, "We see you." The captain's heart sank deeper. It was not just a warning. It was a declaration. Humanity had stepped into the stars with weapons that bent scanners and shields that mocked enemy fire. They had chosen not to destroy, not to conquer in this moment, but to remind the galaxy of something more dangerous. They were watching. The captain raised his hand and gave the order at last. His voice was steady, though the weight behind it was crushing. "Signal retreat. We leave this system now." The navigator hesitated. "Captain, if we turn our backs..." "Do it," the captain snapped. "Survival is victory here. Our empire must know what waits beyond." Engines flared weakly as the Velan shifted course. Slowly, carefully, it moved away from the circle of human battleships. The giants did not follow. They did not fire. They only drifted, silent and cold, their lights pulsing like the eyes of ancient watchers. The alien crew felt every second of the departure like a blade against their throats. But no strike came. The humans allowed them to leave. When the Velan finally cleared the nebula and the battleships faded into the darkness, the crew collapsed into silence. Some wept softly. Others stared blankly into the void. None felt relief. only the weight of what they had seen. The captain stood at the center of the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. His voice was quiet, but every officer heard it. This day will be remembered, not as a battle, not as a victory, but as the day the galaxy learned fear. The first officer swallowed hard. "Captain, what will we tell the council?" The captain turned his gaze toward the stars, where the shadows of the human fleet still lingered in his mind. His answer was simple. Tell them the truth. Tell them we found a species that speaks in silence. Tell them we found ships that no scanner can read. Tell them we found a people who did not need to destroy us to conquer us. He paused, his voice turning colder. Tell them humanity has awakened. The crew said nothing more. The message still glowed faintly on their consoles, burned into their minds like a scar. We see you. And the aliens knew then that they had not discovered humanity. Humanity had discovered them. The galaxy would never be the same.